The dust was still settling over National City. Not just the literal dust from the fierce, prolonged conflict with Director Bones and his insidious DEO, but the metaphorical dust that had clouded the relationship between the city and its super protector, Supergirl. The battle had been won, Bones apprehended, his corruption exposed for all to see. Yet the victory felt hollow, tinged with a deep weariness. The people weren't cheering with their usual unreserved joy. Instead, a palpable tension lingered in the air, a quiet skepticism born from too many close calls, too many promises that felt, at times, unfulfilled, or at least imperfectly executed. They saw a hero, yes, but they also saw a symbol that felt increasingly distant, perhaps even a little arrogant in her perceived infallibility. Supergirl, bathed in the soft, fading light of a bruised sky, stood before them. Not on a grand stage, but amidst the rubble, on a temporary platform quickly assembled by emergency crews. Her cape hung heavy, her suit smudged, but her eyes held a vulnerability rarely seen. This wasn't the Supergirl who soared above their problems, effortlessly batting away threats. This was a Supergirl who looked like she carried the weight of every broken window, every frightened whisper, every ounce of their lingering doubt. The silence that fell over the crowd was not one of reverence, but of anticipation. What would she say? Another declaration of victory? Another reassurance that everything would be fine? The city needed more than that. It needed truth. This moment, this profound silence, was a crucible for Supergirl. For too long, she had felt the immense pressure to be perfect, to be the unwavering symbol of hope that Krypton's legacy demanded. Every mistake, every misstep had felt like a failure, not just of herself, but of that very ideal. This immense internal pressure, coupled with the public's growing disquiet, had created a widening chasm between hero and city. She had always believed that being a hero meant being flawless, strong, and unyielding. But the cost of this belief was becoming devastatingly clear. It was isolating her. It was eroding the very trust she sought to inspire. And then she began to speak, her voice initially soft, almost a whisper, yet amplified enough to reach every ear in the hushed plaza. There was no grandstanding, no triumphalism. Instead, her gaze swept across the weary faces, meeting their doubt with an unexpected honesty. "National City," she began, her voice gaining a quiet strength. "Today, we put an end to Director Bones' corrupt reign. We brought his schemes into the light, and we fought together against the darkness he sought to spread." A pause. The crowd remained still, listening intently. This was familiar territory. But then she diverged. "But this victory, as important as it is, doesn't erase the struggles we've had," she continued, her voice now resonating with raw truth. "It doesn't erase the fear you felt, or the trust that has been strained, and it doesn't erase my own part in that." A ripple went through the crowd. This was unprecedented. Supergirl admitting fault? It was a shock. She looked directly at them, her eyes shining with unshed tears, but also with an unwavering resolve. "For a long time," she confessed, her voice thick with emotion, "I thought being Supergirl meant being perfect, that to be your protector, I had to be infallible, that I couldn't show weakness, couldn't make mistakes. And in trying to be that impossible ideal, I realize now I pushed many of you away." This vulnerable admission hung in the air, a truth spoken aloud that had been whispered only in people's homes and on the streets. It was an acknowledgement of their feelings, of their hurt, and it began to chip away at the walls that had been built. "I am not perfect," she stated, firmly, clearly, the words echoing with a profound humility. "I have made mistakes. I will make more, because I am trying every single day to be better, to learn, and that journey, that growth, is inherently imperfect." The profound honesty of that moment was a turning point. It wasn't an excuse, it was an explanation, an insight into the immense burden she carried and how she was learning to carry it differently. Then came the promise, not of future perfection, but of relentless effort. "I cannot promise you that I will never stumble, but I can promise you this: I will work every single day to earn your trust, not to demand it, but to earn it, through my actions, through my transparency, and through my willingness to listen to you, to truly hear your concerns, your fears, and your hopes." She paused, taking in the faces before her, faces that had shifted from skepticism to surprise, and now to a cautious, budding hope. A few people nodded slowly. A child, held aloft on their father's shoulders, pointed, no longer with fear, but with dawning understanding. "Being a hero," Supergirl concluded, her voice gaining a quiet power that transcended mere volume, "isn't about being infallible. It's about being accountable. It's about understanding that trust is built brick by painstaking brick, and that it can be shattered in an instant. It's about always striving to be better, for you, for this city we all call home." The applause that followed was not thunderous at first, but it grew steadily. It was an applause not for a flawless hero, but for a deeply human one. It was the sound of a fractured relationship beginning to heal, of an understanding blossoming between a powerful protector and the people she served. It was a message of hope, yes, but more profoundly, a message of humility that redefined what it meant to be Supergirl. This moment, this raw, vulnerable admission, marked a new chapter. It showed Supergirl's true maturity, her understanding that genuine heroism isn't about being untouchable, but about being deeply connected, accountable, and always, always striving to be better, not perfect. It was the day Supergirl truly began to earn National City's trust, one honest word at a time. What are your thoughts on moments of vulnerability and honesty, whether in real life or in stories, that have profoundly shifted a relationship or inspired change? Share your insights in the comments below. And if this reflection resonated with you, consider following for more stories that explore the depths of humanity, even in the most extraordinary of beings.